Hi, folks. This is Anthony. Welcome back to my show. Now, I'm a great believer in boring stocks. I have to admit that most of my stock accounts have a lot of high tech stocks like Palantir and Nvidia. But I think that there is some merit in having long term, kind of boring stocks. Those are the type of stocks that Warren Buffett used to become one of the richest men in the world. Anyway, the information that I'm talking about today comes from last year's April's edition of Kiplinger's magazine. I just have that up to show you what it looks like. You can find a copy probably at your library. Anyway, the author of this article talks about a wide variety of really boring stocks. AptarGroup, which makes pumps, closures, and aerosol valves. RPM International, and I'll go through some of these in a minute, but I just wanted to, give an indication of what some of these. So RPM makes waterproofing and rust-proofing coatings. Lazy Boy obviously makes recliners. Littelfuse makes Littelfuses. What else do they have here? In the home building sector, NVR they like. It's a very expensive stock. Pool Corp is a stock that I had previously a number of years ago and made a good amount of money on it. I think it stumbled a bit since then. So let's go through some of these, and I'll have a list of these in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. My whole point for showing you these is to inspire you to do your own research to hopefully construct a long-term, well-diversified portfolio. Don't watch this video, see something you like, and just buy it tomorrow without doing your own research. Okay, so let's look at the 1 year on AptarGroup. It's up 7.5%. 5 years, it's up 36%. Fairly respectable. Lifetime up 3,100%. Of course, you would have had to get in about 30 years ago. And it does pay a 1.15% dividend. Okay, let's go to the next one that I have. Ball Corp. They make glass jars and probably other things, but that's what they're known for. Aluminum manufacturing also is what it says about them. Year to date, down a little bit last year, down 21%. This is not necessarily a list of things that I would all buy some of, but do your own research. If you would have bought back in the 80s, which you didn't have a chance to probably, but you'd be up a respectable 3,000%. It does pay 1.38% dividend. Cintas, they're like a uniform and they do a bunch of other things. And of course, I forgot to turn off my phone. I never get messages except for when I'm making videos. Anyway, Cintas is one of those uniform companies. You see them picking up laundry, things like that. Mats, mops, cleaning, and restroom supplies, first aid, and safety products. If you work at a big company or even a smaller one, you probably have some of their products. Let's look at 1 year, up 16%. It's, respectable for a company that's dealing with uniforms. These are not going to be results that you see with Nvidia or Palantir, but still, pretty respectable. 5 years up, almost 200%. Plus, you're getting a 0.8% annual dividend. Remember, these are always shown as annual dividends. And if you would have been able to buy back in 85, you'd be up just under 40,000%. Okay, you're not necessarily going to make that over the next 30, 40 years, but you might be able to outperform the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Okay, let's look at our next one. Gentex, maker of electronics and technology company dealing with automatic dimming rear view mirrors, camera-based driver assistance systems, and things like that. Okay, again, do your own research. I don't need to read the descriptions for everything for you. It is down about 12.5% on the year or the past year, although it's had quite a big spike up lately. 5 years, really basically sideways. Okay, so not super great. Let's look at the max. Up 38,000% since 85, 1.78% dividend. Again, not recommending all of these, just looking at them because they're mentioned in the article. Okay. Lazy Boy, you know what they do, probably down 16%. This is one that I'd be very leery of, just because if the economy takes a nosedive, one of the first things that people stop buying is furniture. If people are not buying houses, they're not buying new furniture. They have a scratched up Lazy Boy recliner for dad, and the economy's down. He's probably not going to replace it till he feels a little bit more flush with cash. Past 5 years, up only 8%. Not very good. Does have a nice 2.4% dividend yield. And it's, done pretty well. Not nearly as well as other ones over the past 40 years or so, but up 833%. Let's take a look at the next one. Littelfuse, they make fuses. I think fuses for cars and probably other things. 1 year, pretty sideways, so not very spectacular there. Less than 1% over the past year. Over the past 5 years, up a respectable 46.5%. Does pay a 1% dividend, so you could kind of add that to your expected rate of return. And over the past, 30, 40 years, it's up about 4,000%. So, pretty good. Interesting. Again, I wouldn't put all my money on that, but if you did put all your money on it, you probably wouldn't lose all your money. Although, don't put all your money in it. Putting all your money in one stock, something could happen. Meteorite could hit their main manufacturing facility. The CEO of the company could run off with the money, so there's always a risk, but probably less than some. Okay, NVR, now that's $7,633, so pretty expensive stock. 1 year it's down almost 12%. 5 years it's up 94%. It's pretty good. Max, it's up 4,000%, and that's going back to 86. Pool Corp, as I mentioned, I've owned that in the past, not currently now. Past year, it's down 16%. 5 years. I bought over at this point and sold when it went up. It is down 1.41% over the past 5 years, so something to keep in mind. But max, it's up 33,000% if you would have been able to buy it in the mid-1990s. And it pays 1.6% dividend. A couple more to look at. RPM. They make coatings and sealants, building materials. Okay, 1 year sideways, down almost 1% over the past 52 weeks. 5 years, it's up 45.5%. Not too bad. You are getting a 1.72% current dividend yield. In max, it's up 3,000%. Since 1985. One last one to look at. Remember, I'm not a stock advisor. I'm just an entertainer talking about stocks which might be appropriate for some people to do research on for their well-diversified long-term portfolio. Okay, Sherwin-Williams, obviously a paint company that everyone knows about in the United States at least. Past year, down 5.64%. 5 years, it is up 53.72%, so that's about 10% per year. Roughly what the stock market's doing, has a yield of slightly under 1%. And max, obviously, this is only informative if you would have bought way back, 40 years ago in some cases. But $1.64 invested in them in 1985 would be worth $331 today. Are people going to stop using paint? Probably not. Something, for a long-term portfolio might be worth a thought. Okay, I'm going to end here. What are your thoughts? Do you own any of these? Have I inspired you to do research on any of these that you might think you would be interested in? Love to hear from you. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. I always respond to them eventually. Thank you so much for your time.